everyone, it's Kayla Woodhouse here with The Right Nook. Today we're going to be talking about lesson number 16, research. Do it and do it well. I have here a stack of books of some of my favorite research assistants. But before I show you what they are, I'll talk a little bit about what we mean by research. The first thing that probably comes to your mind is researching topics. Like if you write historical, you want to make sure that your historical setting is appropriate, right? We talked a little bit about this in video lesson number 15. We're going to talk about it just a little bit this lesson, but mostly I want to talk about other resources for researching genre, for researching how to write, what kind of things to include in your writing, characters. So I'll start with characters. Characters, one of my favorite resources is 16personalities.com. It's 16personalities.com. That's a site for the Myers-Briggs personality types, and I like going and picking out a personality type for my characters and reading what they say about what they do best for working, in relationships, how they think, how they act, if they're introverted, extroverted, etc. So now I'm going to show you a few of the books and the kind of books that you can use. First, I have one of my favorite resources, which is the Dictionary of Literary Terms and Literary Theory. Now, I was an English literature major, and I learned a lot of things from this book, but it's really nice to go back to. It'll explain what a hero is, what foreshadowing is. I open up a page and it says pantomime, or we can flip again and it says, don't know what that is, short measure. So you can learn a lot of things by having a dictionary like this at your disposal. Next, I have a book on the power of myth. I love mythology and I write fantasy, so getting a book like this that talks about your genre is a really good resource to have. I also have a couple of books on poetry. As a fantasy writer, I like to include poetry. I think it's a cool element of the genre, but I am not very good at writing poetry, so sometimes I need some help. This is a book by Donald Moss, Writing 21st Century Fiction, and this just talks about the writing world today in the 21st century. So really great book no matter what you write. I'd recommend this one. Also Donald Moss's book and workbook, Writing the Breakout Novel, fantabulous. And finally, I have, of course, the infamous The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler, and this talks about like the structure of plot. We talk about this a lot. Like Aristotle said that there's 3 acts to every story, beginning, middle, and end. Vogler takes it a little bit further, and he talks about mythology and fantasy in particular, but it really applies to a bunch of different genres. Kind of the elements that every story has. You start in the ordinary world, and then there's, Jeff Gerke, sorry, I lost his name. Jeff Gerke calls the door of no return, where you step out into the unknown and you can't turn back, and then you have meeting the mentor, and then you have, your first climax and all that kind of stuff. So really great book if you guys want to check it out. There's also The Hero's 2 Journeys, which is Vogler and Hagee written together, so you get 2 different versions of this hero's journey plot type. So there you have it. Those are some of my favorite research assistants. So I would suggest for you finding a few different areas that you want to study more about. Again, studying genre, studying character, studying plot structure. These are great places to start. And also, don't be afraid to just check out books from the library. You do not have to buy every book that you want or that you're going to use. If you go to the library and you find a book that you really love, then sure, invest in it and buy it. But you're going to be reading so many books, or at least you should be reading so many books to learn about the craft of writing. You don't need to buy them all. You can if you want, and if you have that kind of money. I personally don't. I'm a student, so there's that. I'm assuming you're not a millionaire as well. But there you have it. Get some books, find some books, go to the library, check out online. I will say really fast, as for internet resources, you want to be wise. Like going to Wikipedia is a great place to start, but I would not put something that you learned specifically and only from Wikipedia into your book. I would dig a bit deeper. If you want, shoot us a note in the comments and we can maybe do a follow-up video on using primary and secondary sources and how to find sources that are legitimate and credible. If you don't already know, there's a lot of research on that online. OWL Purdue, their site has a lot of OWL, Purdue, has a lot of resources and information on how to use, they talk about scholarly and academic sources, but really they're just talking about finding credible sources. So anyway, that's it, all that we have for now. Again, shoot us a comment with any questions you have, or if you'd like to learn more about finding credible research, and get your pen and start writing.